Hello everyone. I'm Abhinav Pandey, a cybersecurity enthusiast and a penetration tester. To get you all going, our next speaker for the day is a very inspirational figure, Reet Kaur. She is a chief information security officer, an advisor, an angel investor, a member of the Forte Group, CISM, CRISC, CISSP, and PMB. She talks about cyber risk, cyber defense, women in cyber security, and information security. But today she'll be talking about the great resignation and the greater risk to the business. Have a great session.
Thank you, Abhinav. Hi, everyone. Firstly, thank you so much for having me here to talk about this great phenomena, great resignation, and its impact on the business and on all of us. Before I dive in, here is a little bit about myself. My Twitter handle is there if you want to follow me, and I feel free to connect me with on LinkedIn, as well as if you want to reach out to me for mentorship or coaching. I have my email over here as well. Feel free to reach out. Work experience wise, I have been in IT, program management, corporate finance, and information security for more than 20 years. I have built information security programs in various Fortune 100 to 500 companies such as Nike, Fidelity, CIBC, and AECOM. And currently, I'm the Chief Information Security Officer at Portland Community College. I did my bachelor's from India and then did my master's from University of Waterloo, Canada. Did several certs as Abhinav explained earlier. I have various security certs as well as I did a program with Carnegie Mellon. It's about executive CISO. Then I'm very passionate about mentorship and coaching, especially mentoring underrepresented minorities, be it women or people from different ethnicities. And I always am up for learning, not just in information security, but in other areas as well. And one of the fun facts about me is that I have worked in 6 different fields, and my first job was as an air hostess. So in 2020, I got this at the end of January. I got this new job of Chief Information Security Officer at one of the largest higher ed institutes here in Oregon, where it supports 1.9 million residents and 90,000 students and employees. And I came with a plan for first 90 days. I actually do that every time I go to any new job. I read this first 90 days book, and I come up with a plan for first 90 days, right? So I did that. I was fully prepared to build relationships up, down, and sideways. And in this plan, I was also very thoughtful of that. Like, the first thing I need to do is I need to learn about the business and its strategy, and because I wanted to align the security strategy to this business strategy to be that business enabler. But guess what? That plan, it was totally crapped out because we got hit with COVID-19 just 2 days of me being into that job. And so, with this new change, there were so many new business requirements which were emerging because we needed to do that lift and shift. We needed to take everybody from on prem to remote. And one of the things which gave me a cultural shock was that this new organization did not have work from home culture. So, taking everybody remote, we did not even have that infrastructure. We could only, our VPN could only handle 50 concurrent users at one time. And imagine, like, we were thinking about taking 85 or to 90,000 folks from our community remote, right? So the senior executive leadership team came to me and said that, hey, in your resume and in your interview, you said that you have experience with secure digital transformation and migration up to the cloud. So now do this. And I was like, when we were at Nike, we had a 5-year plan, 5-year roadmap for digital transformation as well as migration up to the cloud. And here, guess what? We had to do it within 5 weeks. So there were several emergency organizational changes which we had to make, as well as several exceptions to the policies. Obviously, there were risks written in the risk register before we took everybody remote, but all those changes in the policies, as well as those exceptions, that left us with several security control gaps in our environment, right? So that was risky for us because adversary was constantly working. They were working faster than we were. So from February to December 2020, there was a huge change in threat landscape, as you all experienced, where there were a lot of non-COVID themed threats. So there was 17% increase in threats targeting enterprise users using business email compromise and so on, with other attacks. Then there was a 25% increase in malicious websites and malware being blocked by active security agents. Then there was an 85% increase in phishing attacks. Which were targeting the remote enterprise users, right? So if we think about it, when we moved everybody remote earlier, prior to getting into this COVID situation, we were protecting that perimeter of our network, right? Now that perimeter was spread all across in different areas in people's homes. So we did not even have full visibility to the endpoints. So that's why you see this increase in phishing attempts. And this is across different organizations, right, globally. Then there were several COVID themed attacks as well, which were coming through, and they went off through the roof, right? So there was a 30,000% increase in phishing website and malware targeting remote users with COVID themed attacks. And while we were going through all this, we were also dealing with ransomware attacks. And one of the issues which was happening was that people, when they were thinking about resiliency, they were storing their backups on the same network. So, because of that, when the hacker got access to their network, those backups were also encrypted. So there was a huge impact. And now our team, as well as rest of the teams across the globe, they were working around the clock, right? So now we were getting close to December, and we thought that we had figured out a lot of stuff where we were constantly engaging with our end user, and we were training them on these phishing attacks, and putting controls in place and doing whatnot. But we thought December is coming, we are going to be enjoying our Christmas. But instead of Christmas, instead of Santa, we got this gift of SolarWinds, right? So SolarWinds was a supply chain attack which targeted 18,000 different organizations. The attackers, they hacked SolarWinds, which is an application used for network performance monitoring. So they attacked them, and then they included a malicious code in one of their software updates. And now all these different organizations, when they were ready to update, when they updated their environment with this for this application, they were all impacted with this attack. So now teams were, again, they did not get to take rest. They were working around the clock and patching these particular vulnerabilities, as well as checking for indicators of attacks or compromise. So this is what led to the burnout in many teams, and this is what led to all the resignations which we started seeing. So these resignations, obviously, that when we talk about burnout, it usually starts slowly, but then, when it actually leads to burnout, when that burnout is there, then, by this period, we were too late in tackling that burnout. And because of that, there was this mass exodus or big quit, which was happening across industries. So with pandemic and loss of different people's, their relatives or friends, this new perspective was kicking in, where they were taking a step back and thinking whether, this is all what they are working on, whether that is worth it or not. And they were also thinking about whether they are having job satisfaction and whether they were happy with respect to what they were doing. Then the other thing is that, like, post vaccination and with decrease in COVID numbers now, many employers are asking their employees to come back, and many employees have moved to different states and they don't want to come back to work. So when we talk about these or employees, right? They were not used to working remote, but guess what? Even the managers were not used to working remote. And with this resignation coming through, we were so stressed out. We were like, we couldn't figure out what was going on because, in my organization, we are a big organization. So we were seeing one resignation every 2 weeks. So we were trying to figure out what is going on and why it is happening, and what will be the impact of this phenomena to the business, as well as we needed to be innovative with the solutions. So, this is what I'm here to talk to you about today. So, when we talk about resignation by numbers, there was a recent survey which was done by Microsoft. It said that 43% folks working in the workforce, they were considering quitting as compared to 15% before COVID situation. Then 4.2 million job quits happened in August 2021. By the way, yesterday there was another number floating about September quits, and it was 4.4. So what I'm talking about is that these numbers, like, there is a cascading effect and it's constantly increasing. So when we talk about, the total US force, it's like 2.5% of US force, which is huge. Then there were, when we think about, okay, why people are leaving, there are 10 million unfilled jobs. So it's not that, like, they are being let go from their organization. They are themselves resignating, they are resigning. So then there are 66 million job changes which happened within the span of 1 year. There were 72 million hires and 66 million separations, yielding to a job growth of 6 million, right? So then, if we look at the demographic, when we look at different generations, Gen Z, if we look from the bottom here, Gen Z was introduced into the workforce, most of them during this pandemic itself, right? So they came here during the time when we were all remote. So there was no way we could mentor them, coach them in person. We had to do all that remote, as well as, they want a lot of flexibility. And when they were coming into the job force, they did not have any experience. Now, with 2 years of experience, they are looking for where are they going to get paid more. So they are, moving out in huge numbers. Then, when we talk about the millennials, they are more established in their careers, but they are in that stage of life where they are going to have kids. So they want childcare, they want more time with the family and bonding with their kids. So that's why they are leaving if they are not satisfied with their current employer. And then Gen X is where, like, we are talking about mid to upper management, where they are highly experienced and they are well sought for by the companies. So they are moving, as well as boomer generation. They are looking for perfect place to retire, so they are moving as well. So there are several reasons around it, and we will cover as we go. So the first reason is burnout, right? When I was talking about earlier, when we were dealing with all the threats attacking us, and then got into this supply chain attack as well as ransomware attacks. So there is a huge burnout across industry. And security, in security, it is easy to burn out anyways, right? Because we are constantly dealing with this change in threat landscape. So before COVID, there was 42% burnout with respect to a survey done by Indeed. And after COVID, like post-COVID, it is 53%. As you can see, there is a steep incline going on. Then the second reason is social impact. There has been lack of social bonding because of working remotely. uh, you don't Some of the folks, they have never met their teammates, have never worked and actually seen what their organization looks like, and they are constantly doing this transactional work, working from one project to another and jumping on to another. So this transactional work, they can do it anywhere. If they go, they will just look for, where which company is paying them more, and there is a tendency of that shift. Then it is the third reason is work life balance. It is difficult to find work life balance for employees who have never ever worked remote, and this is their first time. It is hard for them to know when do they stop during the day. And then some people who did adjust to work from home, they obtained work life balance with respect to that. They didn't now had to spend so much time in commute. But after the COVID, post vaccination, many employees are leaving for hybrid or full remote opportunities because they don't want to come back. They are used to this new work from home culture. Then fourth reason is, um, in all the management schools, there the traditional management style was being taught, which was focused on influencing employees' job satisfaction, well-being, and likelihood to stay with the organization. And nobody taught them how to manage this workforce all remote. HR did not have a clue how to do it. There were no books which were written for that, and no courses available for them. And so, for this, in COVID and post COVID management needs to look different, right? So, there is not much training which is available right now for these managers. So, we need to train them, we need to come up with that strategy. And they are frustrated as well because they have been taking all these responsibilities without these tools available to them along with the training. Then next one is context switching. When we are managing our employees, we are deliberately thinking about, we don't want them to do a lot of context switching, right? Just because, like, context switching can actually, it can stress you, as well as it can really, hit on your performance and so on. But now we had to all go remote and everybody was home, and we were juggling through different activities, either providing care for our kids or elder care. And it was hard for us to handle all the responsibilities, along with, all the house help which we needed. If you had a nanny before, now you cannot have the nanny come to your home. So taking care of all those responsibilities have really taken that toll on all of our employees and us as well. So, as I talked about, context switching is exhausting. And I know I can't see everybody, but I would have really appreciated if you would have given me a sign how many times you have been in that situation when you are in a very important meeting and your child comes and tells you, hey, I can't find my clothes, or hey, I'm taking these lessons online and my computer is not working. You are providing that security support to your organization, and now at home you are that IT help desk as well, right? So there is a lot going on at home front as well. And when we talk about mothers, I think this is very important to call out because for the past 25 to 30 years, all across the globe, especially in US, right? I'm in US right now, and there has been a tremendous work done to get all these moms to come back to the workforce so that they can start working. But guess what? With this COVID situation, I think we have gone backwards with respect to all the effort which was put in earlier. So 51% women who left the workforce during this time said that they have done so because of lack of daycare. Then 42% felt unsafe just because, like, when some of them were being asked to come to office, they did not want to go because they did not feel safe for their kids, as they could, if they caught COVID, it could impact their kids as well. and 31% had some other reasons, but then 18% said that they had risks to partner, that if they went to work and they caught COVID, or like, if they caught some other virus, they could come home and affect their partner who might have some health issues. Then 8% left because of caring for family, and 5% said that they left because of a personal illness if they got COVID, etc. So now when we talk about impacts, right? The first major impact is on information security itself. Because right now, organizations are vulnerable due to the lack of resources there to protect them and their assets. And then adjusting new employees, right? Even if you are trying to fill these gaps which have been created because of this great resignation, even if you are hiring new employees, it takes time for them to adjust to this new environment as well as learn about new processes. So they are easy targets for social engineering attacks. And adversary is constantly monitoring you, by the way. They are looking for those resource changes. They have taken these LinkedIn premium accounts, which usually HR takes, to see where their ex-employees are moving to. So now adversaries are using those tools to see which companies are having retention issues, and so those companies are most vulnerable, and they are looking at potential ways to attack them. Then there is a steep rise in insider threat and potential ransomware attacks as well. And there are a number of reasons for that. With respect to all this great resignation, there are a number of people who are leaving their organizations. They might be potentially disgruntled, right? So they can cause that potential harm to your organization before they quit, as well as because we are trying to work so fast in getting these backfills, we might run into those issues where we are not doing these background checks thoroughly. Then ransomware as a service, these organizations, they have done an open appeal in various websites, social websites, asking folks to help these ransomware as a service organizations in installing these malwares in their own organizations. And for that, they are offering them huge prizes of more than $1 million. So, we have to deal with all that at the same time. For solutions for information security, I would say that don't let your guards down. Make sure that the open source information in open source intelligence which you have. So, for example, even when you post a job on LinkedIn or Indeed, make sure that you are not providing a lot of information about your environment, because if you are providing a lot of information, now the adversary knows how to attack you, right? They can look for vulnerabilities related to those systems which you have provided information about in these job postings. Then regularly perform risk assessments, not just internal risk assessments, but also external ones, the vendor risk assessments. As I said, there is a huge risk to the supply chain right now, so you need to be really vigilant. Then update your security strategy for remote operations. Earlier, when I said that we did not have that visibility to our endpoints, which had moved out of our network perimeter. So now you need to have that full visibility. So go for behavior-based endpoint detection and response agents on your endpoints, as well as also make sure that you implement zero trust for people as well as processes, right? Then you should have tailored and behavior-based security training for employees. Actually, these days there is this new startup which has come up. It's called Living Security. They are, coming up with this product where they get the data from your advanced SIM, and they look at the behavior of your users, and based on that, they assign trainings to your employees, which is very smart. Then basic security controls must be there, like multi-factor authentication and advanced email protection, so that when you are getting these phishing emails or business email compromise, it get quarantined. Then you need to have intrusion prevention system, detection system, and data loss prevention programs to protect highly sensitive data. Then go for 24 by 7 monitoring. I know that many organizations are complaining about the lack of resources, but you do need to have this 24 by 7 coverage of monitoring, detection, and response, so that you can look at how the adversary is attacking you, so that you can protect yourself, looking at where the controls failed, as well as you can also see how they are moving through your environment, right? So if you don't have many resources, even look for extension of your team by partnering with MSSP, Managed Security Service Provider, or Managed Defense Response. And also do partnership with several threat intel forums like FSISAC if you're in finance, REN-ISAC if you're in education, and HSISAC if you're in healthcare, and so on, so that you need to help each other across industry to combat with the adversary, right? So then be prepared for ransomware attacks. You need to think about business resiliency constantly, and especially because these ransomware attacks are on the rise. So you need to make sure that the backups which you have, either they are offline from your network, or they are air gapped from your network, right? So you need to think about that. And it's not just about your data backups, but also your Active Directory. So then the impact is one of the impacts is team diversity, right? So before the pandemic, many organizations, their marketing agenda was focused on, going for this diversity and inclusion in their programs. And now the diversity and inclusion is the last thing on people's mind. It's a known fact that diverse and inclusive workplaces, they earn trust and more commitment from the employees. But at this time, when all these managers are trying to backfill these open positions, they are not thinking about diversity. And since diversity doesn't come naturally in people, so you have to constantly train them on it, right? So people are right now are ignoring diversity and inclusion policy. I know it is, it's hard to not ignore it, but we need to constantly work on how can we help them in making sure that they are still thinking about diversity and inclusion. So some of the ideas which I have is, I know that many organizations have hired chief diversity officers just to make sure that there is proper governance around this program. And that is one of the suggestions that folks should think about it, as well as, we should drive this program by coming up with KPIs and KRIs, and coming up with those thresholds. That is like, okay, we need to have 40% diversity in our workforce. Then you should host diversity specific hiring drives. I know when I talk to my peers, they tell me that they have created these women diversity drives where only women are allowed to attend those sessions, and women are interviewed during that time frame to hire into the organization to fill in this diversity gap. And then innovative programs to adjust new remote work culture, as well as you should also look for returnship programs for separated employees to help them come back into the workforce, and look for hiring internally, right? Instead of outsourcing, look for inner sourcing, right? Then offer stretch assignments for training in other areas. So let's say if you're hiring somebody from IT into information security, and you see that they have some skill sets which are required for the job, but not all, but they do have a potential to expand their skill set. So you provide them with a stretch assignment in your organization. And also look for providing discounted service offerings, so that you can provide some help around getting housekeeping done or laundry done or providing food services and so on. So companies need to be more innovative in that area now that we are settling into this new workforce environment. Then last thing I would leave you with is that we need to constantly think about employee engagement, right? So right now we need to come up with those mentorship training programs for managers, so that they can train so that they can engage with these folks who are working remotely with them. And there should be some sort of growth programs which should be built for your employees, so such as stretch assignments or career advancement programs, as well as you should also think about how can you create that those leadership and sponsorship programs. So one of the organizations I've worked with in the past, recently what they did was they have come up with this leadership circle where they have identified individuals in their organization, where those they were high performers, as well as they have huge potential. So they have created these cohorts where they meet with one VP every week, and the VP will come and they will discuss with this cohort of 12 people, discuss about a specific business problem. It's like a business case study, right? So everybody together thinks about how they can solve that problem innovatively. So that can create these sponsorship relationships as well. Then come up with innovative ideas for team building exercises on Zoom, such as, like, let's say you are playing some games together. At least, even if you can do it quite often because you are busy, at least do it once a month, right? So that you start bonding with people, so that, like, people know each other beyond work. So then next one is that many people are getting through Zoom fatigue as well, so help reduce that. And some of the ideas are that go for Zoom free Fridays across your organization to help cope up with that fatigue. And then encourage employees to take time off, right? And last thing which I would say is that it's not just your employees. As managers also, we need to do that inner check. We need to sit down with ourselves, because we have gone through so much during these 2 years where we have also lost our loved ones. I actually lost somebody very close to me, and for 6 months it was so hard for me to grieve, because I was putting this mask on my face in front of my team, where as a leader, you are always taught that, hey, you cannot show your pain to your employees. But guess what? It's okay to be vulnerable during this time, right? It took me 6 months to realize that, hey, it was hurting me, and I had to do a few things, like, for example, community service, as well as take time off and so on, to recover from that. This mental health is very important for everyone, right? So sit back and sit with yourself, close your eyes and ask yourself, are you okay? And what can I do to help you? Thank you. And now I will take any questions which you may have.
Yes, ma'am. Surely we'll wait for the questions if we have any. Ma'am, I suppose we don't have any questions. We don't have any questions from right now, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, we sincerely appreciate you taking out your time from your busy schedule to provide us with such valuable information. And we thank you for the insightful session. And we hope that our audience learned a lot. So thanks again, ma'am.
Thank you. Thanks. It
Thank
was
you
my
everyone
pleasure.
for listening.
Thank you.